Nothing in that whole scenario is going to set you up for success. And I think the challenge is, I'm a big believer that the human brain will only allow you to contribute 100% of effort into something that you're going to be confident with 100% confidence that you're going to be successful with it. Otherwise, you're not going to give it all you have, right? Hey everybody, it's Chris with Life 180, and for today's video, I want to talk to you about something I wish somebody had talked to me 21 years ago about, and that is how to invest in your 20s, right? Now, if you don't know my backstory, in my 20s, I was actually a professional poker player. I know that sounds a little weird. This is back in the days when online poker playing in the United States was legal. I know if you're watching this in Canada, it still is legal, so good for you. If I were up there, I'd probably still be playing a lot more. My background, I'm a numbers guy. I'm analytics. I love math. I used to play on Absolute Poker, Full Tilt, Ultimate Bet, Poker Stars, Party Poker, all these different places, right? And I would have three 27-inch monitors with 8 tables on each monitor. So I'd play 24 tables at a time of multi-table tournaments. And I just had a system, and it was all math, and it was all just, I was like a kind of a computer, so to speak. I was just going through and analyzing data and just making decisions really quick. And there was no emotion behind it. And ultimately, while I wish somebody had told me, because I made a lot of money and I'm a competitive guy, and I made the decision I wanted to be top 100 in the world, and so I was playing a lot to accomplish that, and I would go on binges where I would play 12 to 15 hours a day. This is before I had kids and before actually early in my marriage, when my wife and I were just kind of traveling and having fun and no other responsibilities, and I was, professional poker player. It was awesome because I was doing that, and I could do, make that commitment time-wise. And in a 2-year time frame, I went from completely unknown to being top 100 ranked in the world of online poker, which is kind of a big deal when at the time, there was over 5.3 million players. So I really enjoyed it, but here's the problem. I didn't know what I was doing with money at that time. I look back at that now and I go, oh my gosh, like life has been good. I've been blessed, had a lot of successes, a lot of great people, honestly, a lot of failures that I think have made me learn a lot and pushed me forward, probably more than my successes. But the bottom line is, I wish I had known then what I know now. And this video is my gift to you if you're in your 20s, or you know what, even if you're in your 30s, and it's that old adage, when's the best time to plant the tree? Well, 20 years ago. Well, the second best time is right now, right? Like the bottom line is, if you haven't planted that tree, if you haven't implemented principles of financial success, the best time to start is now. But if you're in your 20s, I'm here to tell you that you have an opportunity to get ahead of this thing, set your financial future up in an amazing way. And so here we go. To get into this, I want to say this, is that there's a lie that a lot of us have been told. That lie is, the younger you are, the more risk you can take, right? Think about that. In what world, other than personal finance, do we tell you that we increase your chances of success by increasing your risk? Now think about it. What does risk mean? Risk is simply a measurement of chances of failure. The higher the chance of risk, the higher the chance of failure in every other facet of life except for for personal finances. And so while I get the understanding of people saying the younger you are, the more risk you can take because you have more time to make up for that risk, but I'm going to tell you that the younger you are, the less risk you have to take. Because if you understand the idea and the concept of compounding interest, you understand that the only way that you don't take advantage of compounding is not contributing to it, and by interrupting that with losses, right? Those are the two things that you can't have. You have to make sure you contribute, and you have to make sure that you protect that money from losses, and you set yourself up for success. Now, the old adage, the way to success, the old adage of financial planning is go to college, get a job, contribute to your 401k or qualified account, IRA, Roth IRA, something of that nature, buy and hold, ride the markets, so on and so forth. Nothing in that whole scenario is going to set you up for success. And I think the challenge is, I'm a big believer that the human brain will only allow you to contribute 100% of effort into something that you're going to be confident with 100% confidence that you're going to be successful with it. Otherwise, you're not going to give it all you have, right? And so with that said, I think that's the biggest thing. Putting money into a 401k, into an IRA, and any kind of qualified account where over 75% of money being saved for retirement is being held right now, it used to make sense. But if you are a millennial right now and you are thinking like, what do I want to do for my future? And you look at that and you go, something about that just doesn't make sense. I can't put my finger on it, but I just intuitively get that doesn't seem to make sense for me. I want to kind of walk you through the problem on why your gut is accurate, but the challenge is if you don't know what to do about it, then it's hard to implement a strategy that's going to allow you to do something different. So here's the problem. Back in the 80s when 401ks and qualified accounts were created, so that's my day. I was born in 1980, right? So 401ks are younger than me. If you think about when they were created and why they gained such popularity is because of the fact that 401ks actually made sense for a little while. Qualified plans actually made sense for a little while. Why? Because when Reagan was president, we lived in a high interest rate environment. We lived in a high tax rate environment. And if you can delay and get a tax deferral, which is all it is, a lot of people think of 401ks and IRAs as tax deductions. They're not tax deductions, they're tax deferrals, right? So if you can get a deferral from taxes in 1981 or 82, 83, 84, 85, when tax rates were higher, and you can then avoid paying taxes that year, but then you have to pay at a later time, well, then that makes sense. You could defer 1980, 85 and then pay in 2015 when tax rates are lower. That makes a lot of sense. But now if we live in an environment where tax rates are low, interest rates are all-time lows, government debt is high, all-time high, almost $30 trillion at the time I'm filming this video. It might be over 30 trillion by the time you watch it. So all that stuff coming into the equation, uncertainty in the economy, in the political landscape, all these different things, nothing in this world is leaning towards tax rates going down. So what happens if you put your money into that program right now? You're deferring your tax liability to a time when the government can actually tax that money away from you. If I put money into a 401k right now, by the way, we're almost $30 trillion in debt. Did you know that the government has over $27 trillion sitting inside of qualified accounts? And what they can do with that money is all that money is going to get taxed as earned income. And most people don't understand that when they put that money into those accounts. When you put money into a qualified account like a 401k or an IRA, you are getting into business with the government. And right now, the government has the ability to raise taxes and take that money from you at any point in time. If they want to raise the marginal tax rate, on earned income to 50% on everybody, which by the way is not out of the realm of possibility. If you live in Canada, you know what I'm talking about. This happens to almost everybody. So if you're an American watching this, just feel blessed that you're not already at the 50% rate, especially when you look at our debt, right? So it's going to happen. So why would you defer right now in an all-time low tax rate environment, essentially, to a market where we don't know how the stock market's going to go, we don't know what the tax rate environment's going to do, we don't know what the interest rate environment's going to do and how that's going to impact everything, we don't know the political landscape, all these uncertainties. One of the most important things is to control your money. So here's what to do. I don't want to talk too much about the negative. This is all about here's how you save your money. If you're in your 20s, heck, you know what? Most people I know have $100,000 or less, right? That I get hundreds of people reach out to me every single year just for this YouTube channel saying, hey Chris, what do I do? I'm gonna tell you this. If you have any kind of money saved, if you're looking to save any money, if you can contribute anything on a monthly basis, if you have a lump sum, if you have money sitting in a qualified account and you're looking at, if what I just said makes sense, right? And you go, holy cow, I hadn't thought about it that way. I need to do something to gain control of my money because I believe that we're coming into a market correction. I think the market is cyclical. It's not linear. It doesn't just go slowly up. It's a volatile market, right? It goes up slowly and then it comes down violently. It goes up slowly, it comes down violently. It'll trend upward, sure. But the bottom line is you got to prepare to take advantage of those violent downturns. Warren Buffett always says, make money when there's blood in the streets. And that's how you're going to actually create wealth. More millionaires were made in 2009 and at the beginning of COVID than any other time over the past 20 years because of the fact that volatility creates opportunity, and the people who are positioned and financially structured properly to take advantage of that volatility are the people who are going to win in the long run. And so here's what you need to do. You need to first and foremost save money, not invest money. Remember, the difference between investing And saving is just risk and guarantees, right? So you want to put money in an account that is guaranteed to grow, guaranteed to beat inflation, guaranteed that you have liquidity, use, and control of that money because you need it in case of opportunity and in case of emergency. So we need to not think about investing into any kind of account, whether it's a qualified account or a regular brokerage account buying investments. You need to stop thinking about trying to accumulate money, trying to get to this number at some point in time in the future to be able to withdraw from a retirement income perspective. We need to think about cash flow. And the only way to get to cash flow is to buy cash flow assets, to be able to save money and basically build a financial bunker, a fortress for you, like a personal reserve of capital that you can save. And the hard part is, if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. That's one of my favorite statements in the world, and that goes to everything with business and marketing and whatever. I mean, go back to my first YouTube videos and they were horrible, right? If it's worth doing, it's also not gonna be easy, right? So it's gonna take a little time. A lot of people, unfortunately, we live in this world of this microwave mindset where people want instantaneous results. We're hoping for, 100% returns on some of our investments, the penny stock mentality, the cryptocurrency craze that we have going. Don't get me wrong, I love cryptocurrency. I think there's a lot of opportunity there, but how you go about the cryptocurrency investing can make you or break you, right? Like it's really, really important that you understand your risk profile and when it's appropriate to take on that risk and where the opportunities really lie. So if you want to be successful over the long run, not just feel like you're successful over a 3 to 5 year period or maybe even a decade, the bottom line is you need to set your financial foundation up for success. And listen, if you save, it may take you 2 or 3 years to get your first cash flow asset. If you have money sitting in a qualified account, sitting in a brokerage account, sitting somewhere, and you want to be able to take that money and leverage it into getting a cash flow asset, you can absolutely do that. It'll make it all happen faster. But the bottom line is you need to focus on cash flow. And what's the best way to invest for cash flow? Well, it's real estate. I'm a big believer. If you focus on figuring out how much cash flow do I need? Like, think about it this way. I did a video the other day. I talked about a couple making $150,000 a year. And in order for a couple to be able to use the 4% rule, which is the traditional financial planning methodology of how much money you need to be able to maintain, make sure your money lasts for the rest of your life when you retire, that's only over about a 30-year period. You can only pull out about 4% of your money, right? So think about that. If you're pulling 4% of your money out, and you need to get to $135,000 of income, which is, if you're saving 10%, that's your lifestyle on 150,000 is 135. You need $3,375,000. Saving $15,000 a year, that's a really hard number to get to. I promise you, it is. I go back and watch my other video, do the math. It's really hard to do. Instead of doing that, and let me say this as well. It also doesn't take into account inflation and all these other variables that we talked about. You don't have control of that money over the long run, and so on and so forth. And so during your 20s, if I could go back and in my 20s, start saving and save up enough money to get my first cash flow property when I was 25 years old, and save from 22 to 25 or whatever it is, if you're starting from scratch, save enough up so you can leverage it to get your first cash flow property. And when you do that, then take the cash flow. Don't live on it. Don't have it build your expense or build your lifestyle or anything like that for the short term. Take that cash flow from the properties and compound it. And the reason real estate's so amazing like this is because, unlike qualified plans that give you a tax deferral, real estate gives you a pure tax deduction, right? You're going to be able to realize appreciation over the long run. You're going to have inflation protection from a cash flow perspective, from an appreciation and asset value of the house. I mean, the bottom line is the house may go up or down in value. What matters the most is the cash flow. But if you buy and hold long enough, the appreciation of the house is definitely going to go up in value. So it's kind of double dipping. It's kind of a trifecta of awesomeness, right? You get the tax deductions, you get the appreciation, and most importantly, you get the cash flow. So that's what it all comes down to. If I were you in my 20s, I would say save first and foremost. Put that money in a place where you have liquidity, use and control of that money. You want it to be an account that's going to be a self-completing account, especially if you have a family, especially if you have kids. it becomes even more important. And I'll tell you what, there's one place that you can save your money when you structure it properly that's going to give you the liquidity, the use, the control, the access to the capital, the growth that you're looking for, the guarantees that you're looking for, and that is a whole life insurance policy. I know that sounds a little out there, and I know that sounds like probably anti what you've been taught. I'm not just talking about a normal insurance policy. I'm talking about an investment grade insurance policy. And by investment grade, what I mean is basically, if you go look at it, and I've done some interviews with a guy named Barry Dyke, and he wrote a book called Pirates of Manhattan. And if you go back and look at all the banks in this country, they utilize what's called a tier 1 investment asset of whole life insurance, bank-owned life insurance. And it's cash value life insurance that's used as a tier 1 asset for financial stability of the bank. Think about that. If the banks are doing this, why are we not doing this, right? Because then once they have that, they then leverage that to go out and get the assets and lend those assets out and create cash flow by lending money to other people like you and other people who are getting uncollateralized debt and credit card debt and mortgages and all these different things. So if that's the case, why not put yourself in that position? And I know it sounds counterintuitive. I know you may be sitting, I'm not married, I don't have kids, so I don't think I need life insurance. This is not about the life insurance. This is about leverage. This is about making sure that if you want to get to real estate, if your goal is freedom, financial freedom, you need to have enough passive income, cash flow, that's going to cover your lifestyle, cover your expenses, so you can then live life on your terms. You can show up more powerfully in the world. And if you do that the right way with real estate, the most effective way to amplify your success with your real estate is through a whole life policy, because then you can earn uninterrupted compounding interest. You can create kind of your own internal banking structure to accomplish it all. So if I could go back and do it again, I would go back into my 20s. I would design a properly structured whole life policy. I would save in that policy. Well, I know my insurance charges were the cheapest. I could maximize the efficiency of my cash accumulation. I would then borrow against that money. I would get my first real estate property. I would then take the cash flow from that property, put it back into the whole life policy, and let that all compound at a guaranteed 4%. And I would let that grow, and then I would compound it back and keep contributing to it. And then when I had enough to get my second property, I would do it again. And then the third property would come twice as fast. And then I'm telling you, if you do this, by the time you're 30, you're gonna be completely free. Why is it that we're taught we have to start work at 25 and retire at 65 when you could start work at 25 and retire at 30 or 35? I mean, why? Like, if I'd only known this, 20 years ago, I'd probably still be here doing this with you because I love it. And this is just a lot of fun for me. But the bottom line is I just wish I knew it earlier. And this is my gift to you. So if you have any questions, comments or anything, go ahead and comment in the section below. I will engage. I will do my best to engage, or somebody on the team will engage with every single comment that you put on there. But if you haven't already, please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because if you found this video valuable, I'm going to be coming out with a lot more content on what I call cash flow hacking, because cash flow is what is going to save this country. Think about it. Our freedom is directly tied to the cash flow that we have coming in, the guaranteed cash flow that is coming through our financial ecosystem, right? I mean, if you think about it this way, your income with your job is not guaranteed. Believe me, I own a career coaching company, and that I see it all the time. People that are executives that work for 20 years in a company, and then all of a sudden, especially right now, they're out of a job 20 years later, and they it's $250,000 a year paying job, and now they don't know what to do, right? They don't know where their income's going to come from, and they're stressing out. I talked to a guy a couple months ago that hadn't even told his wife he got laid off. Hadn't even told his wife that after 14 years on the job, they let him go. Like, think about that. So we need to make sure we're taking control of our financial lives and creating cash flow through passive income assets and cash flow assets like real estate. Now, there are other assets that you can do this with as well. Real estate just happens to be what I consider to be the best asset to use with the most advantages. So if I hope you found this beneficial. I hope you found it valuable. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe, hit that bell. and hit that like button as well, please, because YouTube loves, it tells YouTube if you like this video, it tells the algorithm, they'll share it with more people. And this video specifically, I'm very passionate about getting it out there to people because I think younger people need to be seeing this. So any questions, reach out. There's a link below in the description. You can set up a time to talk to somebody on our team. And I hope this finds you well. Have a blessed, inspirational day, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.